All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let's talk business. The NFL offseason is officially in full swing, and you know what that means. Free agency is just around the corner. This is the time when teams reload, rebuild, and make the moves that could define the next season. And for the Chiefs, well, let's just say there's work to be done. Now, before we dive into specific players, let's get something straight. Free agency isn't just about signing big names, it's about strategy. The Chiefs have to balance adding on talent while managing the salary cap. Brett Veach has been a master at making smart, calculated moves, and this offseason will be no different. So what's the game plan? The Chiefs need reinforcements in a few key areas. Wide receiver? Absolutely. We saw the struggles last season. Too many drops, not enough consistency. Tight end, maybe, depending on what happens with Travis Kelce. Pass rush, could always use more firepower. Cornerback, depth never hurts, especially with a long season ahead. And that brings us to you. I need your take on this. If you were Veach, what's the Chiefs' biggest need in free agency? Drop your answer in the comments. WR, wide receiver TE, tight end, edge rusher CB, cornerback. Vote now, and let's see where Chiefs Kingdom stands. Now, speaking of wide receivers, there's a certain playmaker who might be hitting the open market. And if he does, he could be exactly what the Chiefs offense needs. Let's talk about Debo Samuel. All right, let's get into it. Debo Samuel. You've probably seen his name floating around in free agency rumors, and for good reason. The guy is a playmaker, plain and simple. But let's clear something up right away. Debo isn't a free agent yet, not officially. However, all signs point to him leaving San Francisco. Whether he's traded or released, it's looking more and more likely that he won't be wearing a 49ers jersey next season. So the big question, should the Chiefs go after him? Let's break it down. Back in 2021, Debo was an absolute monster. Over 1,400 receiving yards, plus another 365 rushing. He was the ultimate dual threat weapon. Since then, though, his numbers have dropped. Injuries, offensive scheme changes, and competition for targets have slowed him down. But make no mistake, he's still dangerous. Now imagine him in Kansas City. Picture this, that Patrick Mahomes slinging passes to a receiver who can break tackles and turn short gains into huge plays. Debo's versatility would add a whole new layer to the offense. And with Andy Reid's creativity, man, that could be scary. But here's the other side, his contract. If he's cut, the Chiefs could get him at a discount. If he's traded, that's another story. And let's not forget Hollywood Brown. If Debo signs with the Chiefs, there's a good chance they don't go after Hollywood. So what would you prefer? Drop your answer in the comments. S for sign Debo Samuel. P for pass on Debo. All right, now that we've covered the offense, let's switch gears for a second, because if the Chiefs need a game-changing tight end in the future, there's one name that might be worth considering. Kyle Pitts. Let's talk about it. Now, let's talk about the tight end position. As long as Travis Kelce is in Kansas City, this offense is in good hands. But let's be real, Kelce isn't getting any younger. At some point, the Chiefs will need to start thinking about the future. And that's where Kyle Pitts comes in. Pitts hasn't exactly lived up to expectations in Atlanta, but don't let that fool you. This guy's a freak athlete. Back in 2021, he put up over 1,000 receiving yards as a rookie. Since then, his production has dipped, but is that really his fault? Atlanta's quarterback situation has been a mess, and their offensive system hasn't exactly played to his strengths. Now, imagine Pitts in Kansas City. Picture him learning from Kelce, thriving in Andy Reid's system, and catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. Sounds pretty good, right? The Chiefs love using multiple tight ends, and Pitts would be the perfect long-term investment at the position. Of course, this all depends on Kelce's future. If he sticks around for another couple of years, maybe the Chiefs don't need to make a move at tight end just yet. But if Kelce were to retire sooner than expected, Pitts could be the ideal replacement. So here's the question for you. Should the Chiefs go after Kyle Pitts if he becomes available? Drop your vote in the comments. Y for yes, Pitts would be a great fit. N for no, stick with Kelce and Noah Gray. All right, now that we've covered the offense, let's shift our focus to the other side of the ball. The Chiefs' defense was elite last season, but there's always room for improvement, especially when it comes to the pass rush. And that's why Matthew Judon could be an interesting target. Let's break it down. Alright, we've talked about potential upgrades on offense, but what about the defense? The Chiefs already have one of the best defensive units in the league, but let's be honest, adding another pass rusher wouldn't hurt. And that's where Matthew Judon comes into the conversation. Judon might not be in his prime anymore, but the guy can still get after the quarterback. Over the last few seasons, he's been one of the most consistent pass rushers in the league. In 2022, he put up 15.5 sacks. Even last season, despite dealing with injuries, he was still productive in limited action. Now, let's talk fit. Imagine Judon lining up opposite George Karlaftis, with Chris Jones causing havoc in the middle. That would be a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Plus, Judon wouldn't have to carry the load. He'd be a perfect rotational piece, keeping the Chiefs' pass rush fresh throughout the game. The key factor? Price. If Judon is willing to take a reasonable contract, this could be a smart move. But if he's looking for a big payday, Kansas City might have to pass. So let's hear it from you. Would you want the Chiefs to sign Matthew Judon? Drop your vote in the comments, MJ, if you think he'd be a great addition. Pass if you'd rather the Chiefs look elsewhere. Now, while we're on the topic of defense, there's another name worth discussing. A young, talented cornerback who could take the Chiefs' secondary to another level. Greg Newsome too. Let's get into it. We've covered potential upgrades on offense and the pass rush, but let's not forget about the secondary. The Chiefs already have one of the best young cornerback groups in the league, but adding another top-tier talent could make this defense even scarier. And that's where Greg Newsome's skull comes in. Newsome has been a bright spot in Cleveland's defense, excelling as a nickel corner while also holding his own on the outside. He's fast, physical, and has the versatility that Steve Spagnuolo loves in his defensive backs. Imagine pairing him with Trent McDuffie and LeJarius Sneed. Good luck throwing against that secondary. Now the big question, would the Chiefs actually go after him? Well, it all depends on cost. Newsome isn't a free agent yet, but if he hits the market, he won't come cheap. The Chiefs would have to decide if investing big money in another cornerback is the right move, especially when they have young talent like Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson developing. So here's your call. If the Chiefs could sign one defensive player, who would you pick? Drop your answer in the comments. MJ for Matthew Judon, GN for Greg, Newsome 2. No matter what happens, one thing is clear. This offseason is going to be huge for the Chiefs. Whether it's adding firepower on offense or bolstering the defense, Brett Veach has some big decisions ahead. And as always, we'll be here to break it all down for you. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more Chiefs content, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Until next time, Chiefs Kingdom, go Chiefs!